Hey all, HBZ here, just back with version 2.20 of the FIFA Infinity Patch 14 mod. You're going to need to install version 2.12 before you crack on with this version. So if you haven't done that before, you need to go ahead and do that. You can get that from the main download page here. That's exactly where you would have got this mod from, and basically any of these will have the new update. So make sure that you've got version 2.12 installed first, and also the Stadium Pack 1 as well will need to be installed as well. So get this one done, then that one, then that one, then the Stadium Pack, and then version 2.2. So let's presume that you've done that all now. We're going to extract FIP14 version 2.2. It's a relatively small update, so it shouldn't take too long to install, but I first want to open up the README file so that you guys can have a good look and see exactly what I've updated. Alright, so first of all, like I said, make sure that you back up your files before installing. That's very, very important. You can do that using version manager down here, or you can do it by doing it yourself manually and copying the files over. And like I said as well, make sure you've got 2.12 and Stadium Pack 1 installed before you go on. Now the changes, I've now, because I think that I've fixed pretty much all of the bugs, I think, as it comes to actual the playability of the mod. There may be some issues with graphics still, but those are easy. Those are easy fixes. Anyone can do, even the fake modders can do those. But yeah, so what you can now do is you can select the Chinese Super League, German Free Liga, J1 League, Casa Liga, and Turkey Super League, so on. All right, you can play those in career mode. Objectives will be available, and also you have the ability to request additional funds as well, which is something that wasn't available in the original release. Now, I've also updated the wipes, which are the 3D elements and basically the intro videos that you see before you play a game in FIFA 14. They're not all been updated, but some of them have. They look a little bit better. I've also made some changes to the FIFA 20 inspired theme. You're going to need to uninstall that first and then reinstall. It's a very small change. You don't have to do it. It's just I've moved around a couple of the menus regarding shortlisted players. I added Gelson Martins back to the AS Monaco squad. I've also updated the Champions League kit for Napoli. I've also updated the celebrations, which, well, the previous versions had celebrations from, or the celebration IDs from later games, and those games no longer have the same IDs for the same celebrations, or they do not have FIFA 14 does not have those celebrations. So I've gone through, I've changed as many of those as I can. You should have maybe some older celebrations for some players, and some of the players will actually have their correct celebrations now too. I've updated a couple of banners as well. There will be more updates to graphics later on, but I was concentrating mostly on the fixes for this release. I'm more concerned with the game actually not crashing than the images, because you guys can do that stuff yourself, to be honest. So Libertadores and Sudamericana, now you should be able to play those competitions and not find that your team is actually selected to play in both. That should be now fixed. I've also fixed the issue with the incorrect nationality between the Slovenia and Cyprus players. It was an error by me, sorry about that, it happens. I've also improved the Russian league starting lineups. They may not be perfect because I do not follow the Russian Premier League myself, but I've done my best there. I've also fixed the issue with the Champions League. This was the big one. This was the one. It was a random issue due to the population problems that we had. You could literally go 15 seasons without having this August crash, or you could be really unfortunate and it happened the following season. This also should fix a random crash that you get sometimes at the end of a season, because once I made this change, that was no longer happening. So I'm saying that, but I haven't listed it because I don't know if that's a fact or it's just coincidence. That crash, however, was a crash that happened, but if you loaded up the career you'll be able to play and it wouldn't crash for some reason. Anyway, moving on. So I've added 68 of the missing faces from version 2.02 database. So those are back in there now. I've also updated a couple of players that were causing crashes, and there were some issues with the faces. I've updated a couple of players' looks, and I've also added a couple of players from FIFA20 PC. There will be more faces to follow, but as I posted the other day, some of the faces just need a little bit of work. They're just not quite right, and because I'm trying to get my face packs looking as good as possible, I am starting to go through and review all of the faces and start removing some of the worst faces and replacing them. And also, even some of the great faces, some of the conversions have this shiny hair issue, or even they just look good from a distance, but when you start looking at it, you can see that the neck, there's probably, and all that sort of stuff, massive bubble heads and crap like that. So I've just decided I'm going to go through and change those faces. So you will see quite often many of the faces will be updated in each and every update. Alright, so enough of me waffling on. Let's go to the actual installation. So what you want to do is find your Origin Games folder and find your FIFA 14 folder. You should have version 2.12 in here, and also have the Stadium Pack. I'm going to presume you've done that. So all you do is you go back to where you've extracted the files, open this folder up here, copy this into the folder there, drop it down and wait for it to copy. It should be a pretty quick copy and paste job because it's not a huge update. Any files that it asks you to replace, just click on replace and it will do so pretty sharpish. The next step, of course, I don't need to back this up because this is for the tutorial, but of course you open up Version Manager, you back up any of your databases that you were using previously. You just do that quickly here, tap in backup, and then you just crack on now. But if you want to go straight on to installing the new versions, you'll see now these listed here. So you've got the leagues that I mentioned previously. They all have notes as well explaining what you can do with them and what's been done and so on. But I use base normally myself. Click apply, click yes, and click OK, and that's ready to go now. The final thing to do, as always, is to regenerate. So you open up File Master, go to Browse, find your FIFA 14 folder. I prefer to do the entire folder rather than single files, and click Regenerate. Alright. I'm also going to show you quickly how to do it with Creation Master, because some of you have said that you can't open File Master for some reason. So let's open it with Creation Master as well. The Creation Master is very important. You do not save the database. So what we want to do here is you want to open FIFA 14. It will tell you here, and you wait. Once these colour up, you'll know that the database has been loaded. And then you go down to Tools and Regenerate BH. Click Regenerate, and it will tell you here that it's regenerating. Now, very, very important, do not click Save. Alright, it will ruin your career mode. So you either select Exit here, or you just click the red arrow here. Either one is fine. And you're ready to play. So enjoy, guys. Like, follow, subscribe, do all of that stuff, please. And if you manage to see anything that isn't mentioned in the README file here, then please leave me a comment and let me know of any issues you may come across. Cheers.